and you literally have a whole sandwich and the filling are French fries. I mean, does it get better than that? No, it does not. Hey guys, welcome back to another Girl Gone London video. If you're new here, my name is Caitlin. I'm an American who's lived in the UK for almost 10 years, and today I'm finally admitting things that the Brits do better than the Americans. Okay, so in my last video, which I felt was pretty neutral and just pointing out the differences between the UK and the US, I got some comments of people saying clearly you don't like the UK, you don't want to be here, and I get that a lot, and I think part of it comes down to people not understanding that I'm being lighthearted about how I'm reacting to things in the UK. So I'm just sharing my experiences as an American reacting to certain things. And so obviously that is going to come with some jokes. Sometimes I'm being serious. I do think a US road trip is more fun than a UK road trip. So if we disagree, we disagree. But for the most part, it's lighthearted. I don't think that either country is actually better than the other. I think it's a very gray area. And so I wanted to create these videos where I'm just going to list some of the things that I really feel like they do better here in the UK than in the US, just so everybody knows that I do not hate the UK. However, I am also going to do a video of things that the US does better than the UK, so we can argue when we get to that video. Hey guys, briefly interjecting here because I forgot to mention today's question, and today's question is, what is your favorite part about the UK? What is your favorite part about living here? Maybe you're a Brit, maybe you are someone who is an expat here, maybe you're just a visitor and you really like the UK. Comment below and tell me your favorite part about living here. So the first thing, and I've done a whole video about this, is the NHS. The idea here that medical care is for all, regardless of your ability to pay, and is not a privilege but a right, is 100% better than the state of affairs in the US, which works for people who do have the means to pay for healthcare, but does not work for a lot of people who fall in different areas. The idea here that you have a child and you walk out of the hospital without paying a bill is really astounding to a lot of Americans. And after moving here and living with the NHS and getting accustomed to that way of life, obviously paying for it in other areas and your taxes and things, but the idea that I don't have to worry about how much the ambulance is going to cost me is 100% something that the UK does much better than the US. Okay, the next thing is the cost of food in the supermarket / grocery store. So if you've ever traveled to the US as a Brit, you probably, if you stepped foot in a grocery store, would be shocked by the food prices. Here in the UK, food in the grocery store in particular is so much less expensive than in the US. Something that in the US would cost like $2 to $3 for like a loaf of bread or something would be like 50p to maybe a pound here. So when Americans are coming over and thinking about their budget for food in the UK, usually we spend a lot less than you would in the US. We spend about £200 per month on food for 2 people, and sometimes we do spend less than that. In the US, I really don't think that would get you a month's worth of food for 2 people just because of the prices. So in that way, I definitely think the UK is better than the US. Okay, the next thing on my list may seem a little bit trivial, but for somebody who loves French fries / chips, yes, I know they're not the same thing, British people, I do understand, but as an American, we would call anything that is a fried potato a French fry. We wouldn't differentiate between, we don't have another word, we would just call it like thick cut French fries maybe. Anyway, here in the UK, I feel like they pair French fries / chips with so many things that we wouldn't in the US, which I am a total fan of. So for instance, what they would call a chip buddy, translated into American, would be a French fry sandwich. They've got thick cut French fries on a sandwich, and they eat it with ketchup or with salt, or someone told me the other day, like vinegar, and you literally have a whole sandwich and the filling are French fries. I mean, does it get better than that? No, it does not. Another thing they tend to pair fries with here that I've noticed is they will have pizza and fries as one meal, pizza and chips, they would call it. That's not really a combo that we do in the US. We would maybe have like maybe you would have pizza and garlic bread. So we do get like the double carbs in there, but pizza and fries would just it's just seen as like a weird combination, but it's the best combination because what could possibly be better than eating an entire meal of pizza and fries? So I feel like the US should really get on board with this. I'm not saying people don't do it. I'm just saying it's definitely not a popular combination that people automatically go to. And I really feel like this is one of the best things the UK has done for the world. Okay, the next thing that is much better in the UK than in the US is public transportation, or what they would call public transport for short. You can get around almost the whole of the UK by trains, boats, buses. You don't have to have a car. Obviously, in the more rural areas, it is definitely like much more convenient to have a car. Tons of people drive and not just rely on public transportation. But the point remains that if you lived in a lot of places in the States and you didn't have a car, you would have almost no options. Here in the UK, you can live in a lot of places without a car. And I'm not just talking about London. I'm not just talking about cities. You could live in a more suburban area and have plenty of buses that are going to connect you to your town and to surrounding towns that are relatively, on time, on a good schedule. In the US, I'm used to bus transportation. Where I'm from in Florida, basically non-existent. And if it is existent, it's just not something that people take. It's not necessarily reliable. Here, public transportation is often used, is popular, is reliable, and obviously it's easier to link a smaller country than all of America. But it is what it is, and the UK wins for that one. The next thing that's better in the UK than in the US is the type of roofs that they have on their homes, only because in the US, we are used to needing to replace our roof like every 10 to 15 years, I think it is. Particularly the area where I'm from in Florida, this is a common way to do roofs. In the UK, you don't necessarily think about replacing your roof. No one's ever brought that up in like the house buying process of this roof will need to be replaced or anything like that. So I'm not entirely sure the differences between the roofs. I know here they have like much thicker like blocks that they use on the roof, whereas in the US we kind of use like these flimsy roof tiles. It could also be they're not exposed to the same amount of extreme weather as in the US. I know in Florida we have to contend with like hurricanes and the heat and things like that. It's a bit more mild here in the UK, so maybe that plays into it. But overall, your roof is not going to be like a huge expense that you have to shell out for as soon as you buy your house, and you don't really have to factor that into your budget. So it's a very specific thing, but it is something that's better here in the UK. Okay, the next thing that's better in the UK is work-life balance. So in America, we definitely have a go-getter culture, which I do like in some ways, but when it comes to the work-life balance, it's not good whatsoever. We don't have federal required vacation time or holiday time, as they would say here in the UK. Lots of companies will have like an allocated number of sick days, and after you reach the end of your sick days, then you have to start using your vacation time, or you basically don't get paid. Here in the UK, most companies, like if you're sick, you're sick. Obviously, if it's an ongoing problem, they'll work with you, but you're not freaking out that you're going to use up all of your time. In fact, there is a rule, I believe, that if you are on holiday, if you're using holiday time and you get sick or ill, as they say here, because getting sick in the UK is like throwing up, but Americans say getting sick to mean getting ill. If you get ill during vacation time or holiday time, I'm pretty sure you can like claim back part of those holiday days and use your sick day and just take it as a sick day instead. But in general, there's not this hustle culture of you need to, like dedicate your entire life to your job. I think people here recognize that there is more to life than work. And I mean, obviously the cultures play into it and what we prioritize and what we see as important in life and important qualities to have as a person. But definitely in the UK, you're not always worried that you're gonna lose your job because of something stupid. It's pretty difficult to actually fire somebody here after they've worked here for a long time, and you just have a better work-life balance overall in many areas. And the last difference I came up with, again, might seem more trivial, but it has to do with a UK plug. So a UK plug, 1 minute, I will show you. If you're an American, this is what a UK plug looks like. So it actually has this third bit. So if you can kind of see 1, 2, and 3. A US plug only has 2 plug-in things, is that the official term? So plugs here tend to stay in the wall a lot better than in the US, where it can be a problem for them falling out if they're pretty loose or get knocked by something. A UK plug is like not falling out of whatever it's plugged into. And again, it's a small thing, but something that I have noticed and I do think is better in the UK than in the US. Okay, so that brings me to the end of my video. Definitely comment below and let me know your favorite part about the UK. I know not everyone will have other countries to compare with, so just tell me, what is it that you love the most about the UK, whether it is whether you are British or whether you are just a visitor. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.